Congressman Elijah Cummings has died. It has been announced this morning. Just looking to get some of your reactions to this breaking news. Cummings was the U.S. House Oversight Committee chairman. His office made this announcement this morning saying that he has passed away at Johns Hopkins Hospital, aged 68. Cummings was also one of the top Democrats pushing this impeachment probe against President Trump. He had not returned as was expected after a medical procedure, which he was supposed to be away for less than a week. Few hours earlier, another article saying that he had not returned. And within hours, confirmation started coming out that Cummings has died. He reportedly died at Johns Hopkins Hospital at 2:45 a.m. from complications concerning long-standing health challenges. He had not returned to work after having a medical procedure that he said would only keep him away for about a week. They note that the House Oversight and Reform Committee chairman, a Democrat and 23-year House veteran, was a key figure in the impeachment inquiry into President Trump and a recent target of intense criticism from the president. Cummings missed 2 roll call votes Thursday, the first day back following a 2-week House recess. He previously released a statement saying he would be back by the time the session resumed. He had not taken part in a roll call vote since September the 11th. The procedure already caused Cummings to miss a September hearing on Washington, D.C. statehood. The statement did not detail the procedure. Recently, the congressman's doctors had said that they were still anticipating his return to Washington, quote, when the House comes back into session in 2 weeks, and that Cummings remained in, quote, constant communication with his staff and congressional colleagues. After he missed the September 19th committee hearing, they released a follow-up statement saying, doctors expect me to be back in the office in a week or so. Then the timetable for his return was pushed back. Neither Cummings nor his staff had disclosed what sort of medical procedure he had. His office had continued to introduce legislation and conduct other business while he was away from Capitol Hill, and the committee had issued statements from him. Aides to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had not replied to questions about Cummings' absence. Again, they add that Cummings was among 3 Democrat committee chairmen to sign a letter last month accompanying a subpoena seeking documents from the Secretary of State related to the inquiry into President Trump. House Democrats have since issued additional subpoenas. President Trump also recently called Elijah Cummings a bully. And the president had also called for an investigation into why Baltimore received so much federal funding. The president, criticizing Congressman Cummings, said, quote, why is so much money sent to the Elijah Cummings district when it is considered the worst run and most dangerous anywhere in the United States? No human being would want to live there. Where is all this money going? How much is stolen? Investigate this corrupt mess immediately. Congressman Cummings has had a number of other controversies during his time as congressman. One other recent one involving his wife, where she may have gained illegal private benefit from his committee activities. There's a report just from a few months ago talking about a charity run by the wife of Representative Elijah Cummings, which had received millions from special interest groups and corporations that had business before her husband's committee and could have been used illegally, according to an IRS complaint filed by an ethics watchdog group. close off the second half of this video just looking at that complaint from May of this year against Cummings, the details of this conflict of interest. This was from the Washington Examiner. They said that Cummings, 68 years old, a Maryland Democrat, is chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. His wife, Maya Rockeymoore, 48 years old, is the chairman of the Maryland Democrat Party and briefly ran in the state's race for governor last year. The couple married in 2008. Cummings was once heavily in debt, in part due to hefty child support payments to his first wife and two other women, but his financial situation has improved considerably over the past decade. Rockeymoore, Cummings' wife, runs two entities, a nonprofit group called the Center for Global Policy Solutions and a for-profit consulting firm called Global Policy Solutions, whose operations appear to overlap. According to the IRS complaint filed by the watchdog group, the National Legal and Policy Center, the complaint states that the arrangement may have been used to derive, quote, illegal private benefit. Global Policy Solutions received more than $6.2 million in grants between 2013 and 2016, according to tax records. Several of the nonprofit group's financial backers, which included Google, JP Morgan, and Prudential, have business interests before the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Cummings served as a Democrat chairman of the committee since January and previously served as a ranking member. The largest contributor to the nonprofit organization was the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, a company that is regulated by Cummings' committee. The foundation, which gave a total of $5.5 million to Rockeymore's consulting firm and $5.2 million to her nonprofit group, ceased supporting her groups in 2017. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation was established by Johnson & Johnson founder Robert Wood Johnson, but is not officially affiliated with the pharmaceutical company. The foundation owns 13 million shares of Johnson & Johnson stock worth over $1.7 billion, making it one of the company's largest shareholders. Currently, 5 board members of the foundation are former senior executives at the pharmaceutical giant, including the foundation's chairman of the board of trustees, Roger Fine, who previously served as corporate vice president and as general counsel of Johnson & Johnson. In recent months, Cummings has been a vocal opponent of Johnson & Johnson, targeting the company as part of the House Oversight Committee's probe of drug price inflation. Under Cummings, the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform has wide authority to regulate business industries, including pharmaceuticals, banking, mortgage brokers, and technology. In recent years, Prudential, JP Morgan, and Johnson & Johnson have had business interests before the committee. Tom Anderson, director of the National Legal and Policy Center's Government Integrity Project, which has been investigating the nonprofit arrangement and provided research to the Washington Examiner, said the potential for corruption is, quote, off the charts. He said Rockeymoore declined to let his organization view her nonprofit organization's most recent public financial records as required by the IRS. Quote, when a powerful chairman of a committee of the House of Representatives has a wife that is bringing in money from entities with interests before his committee, and she is not providing the transparency mandated by the IRS, there's a serious problem, said Anderson. The potential for corruption in this situation is simply off the charts and cannot be understated. We hope that Chairman Cummings works with his wife to end the stonewalling and provide the public with what's legally mandated. All charities provide. The complaint asked the IRS to investigate the shared leadership, integrated operations, and shared address and physical facilities of her two companies. Rocky Moor's nonprofit and the second company have mutual clients, donors, and projects, and were located at the same address and share a phone number. According to its website, the Center for Global Policy Solutions is a nonprofit group that seeks to create healthier communities, strengthen social security, and close racial wealth disparities. The for-profit consulting firm describes itself as, quote, a social change strategy firm dedicated to making policy work for people and their environments. The complaint states that they, quote, appear to operate almost as a single entity, allowing for an illegal private benefit for Maya Rocky Moore Cummings and her husband. Rocky Moore's consulting firm was selected for a $1 million federal contract with the General Services Administration in 2017 for work on the Leadership for Healthy Communities project, according to federal records. At the same time, Rocky Moore's nonprofit group served as the National Program Office for Leadership for Healthy Communities, according to its website. If both groups were involved in managing the project, the arrangement is self-dealing and cannot be arm's length as required by IRS law, and prompt the question of whether its organizers are getting fat off the grants, according to the watchdog group's complaint. Rocky Moore did not respond to multiple requests for her nonprofit group's most recent public financial records. Peter Flaherty, the chairman of the National Legal and Policy Center, said she hung up the phone on him when asked for a copy. The Washington Examiner visited the listed business address for Rocky Moore's consulting firm and nonprofit. Dorman said that she had moved out of the office building over a year ago, did not leave a forwarding address, and the building has continued to get her company's mail. As committee chairman, Cummings is embroiled in a legal battle to obtain President Trump's tax returns. Cummings recently subpoenaed President Trump's financial records, prompting the president to sue him in an effort to block the subpoena. Cummings struggled with serious financial problems after joining Congress over 20 years ago. His house was placed in foreclosure at one point. He owed $30,000 in unpaid taxes to the IRS and was taken to court multiple times for thousands in unpaid debts. Since marrying Rocky Moore 11 years ago, Cummings' financial outlook has improved considerably, according to financial disclosure reports and property records. The couple currently owns 2 rental properties in Baltimore, worth between $250,000 and $500,000 each, and last year they sold their 3-bedroom house in Northwest Washington, D.C. for $896,000. Cummings disclosed in his financial reports that his wife earns an unspecified salary from Global Policy Solutions. He did not disclose that she receives a salary from her nonprofit organization, which was $152,000 in 2016, according to the group's tax records from that year. So these companies run by Elijah Cummings' wife, just one of the controversies tied to the congressman, one of the recent ones. And tell me your reaction to this news that Cummings has died, according to his office, this morning. Big announcement. I will follow up soon. Thanks, everyone.